Hello and welcome to the Blue Caress Show. Today I'll be taking a look at Power of the Prime's Swoop and Power of the Prime's Slug. First of all, we'll take a look at Slug and then Swoop. Let's take Swoop out of the picture. One moment. Now, as a kid, I did actually have a G1 Slug. He was a very cool toy, very awkward to transform if I remember correctly, because his tail had to go between his legs, and this is a much simpler and much nicer transformation. Focused. Now, on a lot of them, the horns move. Mine don't. I don't know if that's just a change for for some strange reason or not. My horns do not move, and I ain't gonna force them. Also, one is slightly smaller than the other. Bit strange, but that's a bit of personality. Now, I do use the modification where you just gently fit these two pegs here into this gap here instead of having it pressed all the way down, because I think it does present a nicer alt mode. You can actually have the neck standing away from the back of the creature, which when it's actually sort of all the way down when he's in robot mode, it is very flat and looks a bit strange. Now, he does actually have articulation in this mode. His front legs go out, rotate here. He has knee articulation, and they do move back and forth. Back legs do have knee, but they look very weird, and they do have very tight thigh rotation, so I don't tend to move them very often. No tail articulation, and the only head articulation is a bit of up and maybe a bit of down if you sort of unpeg it. So he does come with accessories. He comes with a gun. A bit basic, but nice enough. I tend to store his weapons on slash in robot mode, just because she looks good with them. And he also comes with the fist accessory that all Power of the Prime's looks comes with, which has the removable gun piece. I'll never forget it. He has the two thumbs and that bit as well. I don't mind these. I know a lot of people don't particularly care for them, but I don't mind them. On a point of interest, Perfect Effect has announced recently that they are releasing new versions of their old Combiner Wars hands and feet, which will use ratchets in the feet instead of ball joints. So if that's something you're interested in, check them out on Perfect Effect. Now, to transform this guy, I'll show you the transformation, this is the best bit. I will take him into limb mode first, and then robot mode, because it is literally the easiest thing to do. So, for leg mode, put the head back a bit, fold out this combiner port, fold the head down thusly. Robot mode dinosaur mode looks a bit weird. Rotate what would be the biceps in robot mode. Rotate it around, and then there's a peg here which goes into that bit there. I don't know why you can see that, because it's an awkward spot. It goes, pegs in just there. Same on the other side. Now the feet, the lower legs, just fold up and sit in tabs here. There's a little tab there and a little slot there. They fit in like that. Leg, tail goes up, and that is basically his leg mode. You put whatever feet you want in there, and he just stands like that. nice strong ratchet on this guy. A lot of the old Combiner War guys had really weak ratchets in that bit. Now into arm mode, put that bit out. You then untab the back bit, fold the tail, put the tail out of the way slightly. Just put the legs back up, the tail comes down and goes out to the side. That enables you to fold out the legs, like so. Then peg them back together. You then put the legs, the tail back up like so, but instead of picking them together, weak plastic here makes it a bit tricky to get it all pegged together. But then you put the tail bits down the sleeve, you put the legs back where they were for leg mode, rotate it around. So this is the top of the arm because it gives you the extra joints for the elbow. My knees are quite stiff, so whenever I move it, it tends to make this bit here come loose, this bit here unpeg. Well, actually, I think you might be better off just picking the tail back together because it doesn't want to play ball otherwise. Ever so slightly, and then you put it down like that. So that's actually supposed to be, put the tail, peg the tail together and put it down. So that's probably going to help a little bit with stability, but not much. Put the peg up and like that. Fold out the fingers, which I will use borrow Swoop's weapon. Put that out. Put these guys down here, and there you go. Mine's a bit loose, but not too bad. It's got a very loose wrist rotation. Yeah, so that's his arm mode. I personally didn't buy these guys for the limb modes. I bought them because they're Dinobots. So that's that. So continuing on to robot mode. Lift up the tail. Lift up the tail. Spread the legs. Re-straighten the hip joint. Bring this forward. And peg them a second. And what you're supposed to do is with the tail out of the way, you rotate these guys around to bring down heel spurs, and then I just put them back to where they just peg back in there. Leave my thumb on that bit just in case, and then that goes round. And plugs back in. Now the tail goes in separately. Straighten that up. Put down the combiner peg. Fold out these very tight hands, which you might want to use the gun for. I don't have nails, unfortunately, so I find these bits tricky. Go in there, miles out, straighten up the head, snap, come on, everything's lined up, so snap it in place, open his jaw, which, yeah, that is the weird thing about this one, his jaw doesn't really have any decent posability in dinosaur mode because of the transformational joint. Hold his arms thusly, and there you have Slug in his robot mode. Falling backwards because obviously I do like the robot mode. It would have been nice if, like in the G1 toy, he had his wings and that bit, but it's not a big deal to me. My biggest criticism is that these guys are deluxes. They should have really been bigger. That is a shame. Now he has some great posability. He has knees to about 45 degrees. He has hip rotation to about there. So it's not the best, it's good, but it's not the best. You can't do the split. Arms, he has biceps, elbow, no wrist articulation apart from going down a bit. And there's no head articulation outside of just being able to just gently turn his head sideways inside his cowl, which is not really all that useful. He has no ankle articulation at all, which is a bit of a shame. He is, in my opinion, a good Dinobot. It would have been better if he was taller. I imagine there will be knockoffs coming in the future that will allow him to be bigger, if you're into that kind of thing. So when he's gunning, now, like most Power the Prime figures of this size, you can wear his hand as an armor accessory. It is daft, to say the least. Funny, but daft. You can, of course, also hold it in his hand, but then fold it down like a big gun. Thanks, Shockshaw. So that's that. So he has a big hand for a gun. So that was a look at Slug. Oh, also, if you're wondering why his name was changed from Slag to Slug, Slag is not a very nice name for a woman in the UK. It's kind of like the Leadfoot repaint in the Power Core Combiner line, which was going to be called Spastic, which is also not a very nice name for someone in the UK. So there's that. So moving on, to look at one of my personal favourites of the Dinobots, Swoop. Now, I didn't have Swoop as a kid. I don't think anyone in the UK had Swoop as a kid through normal means, because I don't think he got released. I think there's a problem with his wings being too brittle, so they never released him. Now, unfortunately, my jaw is a tad loose, so he does sort of have a permanent sort of hello, my mouth is open. It's not that big a deal. And the front of his head here is also a bit loose, but again, not a big deal. Now, Swoop has sitting mode, which is actually really useful because it actually allows you to sort of stick him on a shelf in dinosaur mode without taking up huge amounts of room. He also has a flight mode where you put down his feet, hold up the wings, thusly, and tilt his head back. Now, my one criticism for this figure, one real big criticism, is that these parts here tend not to stick him, to have him placed properly, which is a bit of a pain. Now, to store his weapon in this mode, you stick it underneath there, and then you have Swoop in attack mode. Possibly one of the daftest looking attack modes in the universe. Yes. Again, I tend to store his weapon on slash. It looks like easier. So he has quite a large wingspan. Which next to it's actually wider than Slug is tall. He can store his fist on the back thanks to tabs which go in from there into there. Now, again, I will show you limb modes and then robot mode. So we'll go into his leg mode first. That's a bit more involved. So you untap these, fold them around, they peg nicely on the back. You then unfold what will be his robot load legs down, And this is a bit I really do like on this figure. He has extra transformational joints that aren't used anywhere else, so that he can quite nicely fold up into. Oh yeah, it's easier to get his arms out of the way. I keep forgetting that bit. So you fold that down. You have to fold down his feet as well, because this bit here gets in the way. So they fold in there. So yeah, it's an extra joint there. So that goes down, and then goes down. His arms back down. Tab in nicely. There. You then flatten down his wings. Put his head forward, so that sits in there. These wings will fold up, or forwards even. They tab in, there's tabs on the arms and inside the wings. They are not the strongest tabs in the universe. Then you fold down the ends of his wings, however far you want. And then put out his combiner peg. Yeah, very thin as a leg. Very thin as a leg. I think he's more for an arm than a leg. But again, I didn't buy these guys for their combined form. He also has a bit of a trouble. He tends to sort of flex at what is the hip joints. It's a bit tricky to get him straight up. So from here, go to arm mode, leave the wings on that level. Just move the arms out of the way slightly. Then you unfold the legs back up into their original position, peg them together. I put these back in here because they're just easier. Move the head out of the way, rotate. Nah. You fold the elbows, you fold the arms in, and then you tab them in the side. Keep forgetting to do that bit. Again, so you just fold them. Funny enough, it looks like he's doing the funky chicken. Tab in. Right. And the arms back forward. They don't tab in as well, but they still sit vaguely in the same position. You can adjust these as you like. And we tab everything together. Move that down. Get his hand. Attach that. Again, another criticism of the Dinobots, they have very weak tabs. Fold out the hand, fold down his thumbs. Which looks actually the right way around. So there is his arm mode. You can do whatever you want. The upstairs area, the figure, his head, his wings. Yeah, there's his arm. Again, not tabbing in particularly well. Yeah. I mean, it's probably, he does make a nicer arm than the leg. Yes. Let's go to robot mode. Take that off. Straighten his legs out. Rotate them back at the hips. Undo them. And out his wings. Down his combiner port. Peg that back in there. Fold down the beak and face. Untab the arms. Spend 5 hours arguing with his hands because, again, I don't have nails. Knock the microphone and the camera. That's probably the trickiest bit on his transformation, getting his elastic ends out. Down. Wings. Again, do what you like. I like to put them back up one notch. Hold them down there. Bend. But the flapping. Yeah, so he does actually flap in the vehicle mode, dinosaur mode, to show that off. There is Swoop. Yep. I'm standing up. Not a bad size. I'll show him off with his Dinobot brethren. They are about the same size. I think Slug is slightly bigger because of his nose sticking up there. He has the same basic articulation as Slug. Ball jointed shoulders, ratcheted arms, swivels. His wrist articulation goes in as opposed to down. He has better hips. He can actually do more of a split. He also has a bit more of a bend in his knee. His feet do pivot backwards and forwards, but they don't go sideways. But yeah, he's got like a natural A stance in his stand. Give him his sword now. Again, not a bad sword. I do agree with a lot of people who say these guys should have come with both weapons, a sword and a gun. So not too bad. I'm never too sure which way round you're supposed to stick the blade. If that's supposed to be at the front or not. It makes more sense if it's not, but I'm just never 100% sure which way round they go. Now, again, he can wear his prime armour, which tabs, there are just tiny little tab holes on either side of his face, which these little tabs here will go into. And we'll just tab in. I haven't put the peg down, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, he looks probably worse because there's a massive gap here. I don't tend to stick these guys as armour. I tend to just stick them on the wrists or on the hands as weapons. If you go for the perfect effect ones, which I mentioned earlier, the hands do transform into guns like the old ones did, and they are the ones for the Dinobots are styled so that they actually have spikes up here. I don't think they have the ports on their hands or their feet, which is a bit of a shame. So that's been a look at two of the Power of the Primes, wrong line, Dinobots. Oh, he does actually have waist, but you have to unplug his beak. So that was Slug and Swoop. If you like the Dinobots, these are okay. They're a cheap alternative to the third-party Dinobot war that's going on at the moment, because they all seem to be making Dinobots. I don't get involved in that because I can't afford to. Yeah, can't wait for the next two. So from the Blue Crash Show, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.